what is the grossest thing you did or ate while on trail? So we're getting right into it.
Oh my God. We had crickets one time. I felt like that was gross. I didn't know, like that.
Yeah, there was a farmer's market, and we picked up some crickets for protein.
They were dried and very dead, and they had seasoning on them. They tasted pretty good. I think it was southern Colorado.
No, it was in
Shasta.
Shasta's
a great place for random weird stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that was probably it.
Yeah, crickets. I don't know about anything else. I feel like
we've had to be more cautionary on what we grab out of a hiker box, because sometimes sometimes you need to, because you're just like we went through the Sierras and we didn't want to have to go out of the Sierras to get a resupply, so we ended up living out of a hiker box for a day or two, which is a lot for 6 of us, because that's a lot of food. But it worked, and we didn't have to go out of the Sierras. We could just keep on trucking. So it was nice, very nice.
Okay, so yeah, living out of the hiker box, and then the crickets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And cold ramen without seasoning is not fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, without seasoning? What happened to the seasoning packet?
We just got sick of it. We had the seasoning every day, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just eating these noodles at their rawest form, just so I can shove them down, because I can't eat the seasoning anymore.
And
I'm so sick of it.
we also put all of the ramen into one bag, smushed all up, so we didn't have to have a bunch of volume. And I don't know what happened to the seasoning packets, but they weren't in the bag with them. So there was like a resupply where we didn't have any seasoning for our cold ramen.
Yeah, we did that to get through the Sierras with bear cans, because it's always a struggle to fit everything in a bear can. And so we took a bag liner, or like the bear can liner, and then crushed it all up and just poured it right in that. So we had one solid bear can of ramen, and it worked. Yeah, we made it.
Sounds like it worked. Yeah, you guys did the Triple Crown. You made it through there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speaking of ramen, the past 2 trail team members that I interviewed mentioned, so we're going to get to this later for you guys, but there's a question that's your favorite meal to prepare on trail. They both said pad thai with ramen. So they add like peanut butter and that sort of thing. So I don't know if you guys have tried that, but that's something else.
The thought of it makes me ill. We did it every day on the PCT, pretty much the whole trail for lunch. And I haven't been able to eat it since.
Okay, so you guys definitely have done it before.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a Andrew Skirka recipe that he, like, I think probably I guess the original people got it from Andrew Skirka, because he posted a bunch of good recipes. But that one, it's so easy, and it's available at every store. So It's just, I mean, yeah, sure, it'd be great to have like refried beans that are dehydrated, or but you just can't find them.
And it is a lot of calories.
It's a lot of calories. You can hike. I mean, it's 1,000 calories. You can hike a long time on that.
Oh yeah, that's what we want. But yes, you do get sick of certain foods on trail, especially if you eat it every day. So that's one of them for honey badger, it sounds like.
Yeah, towards the end, it was really, I don't know. Well, towards the end, I couldn't hardly eat anything. We bought like tubs of like butter and bread, and I was eating butter on bread, because I was like, I can't stand the thought of eating anything. I couldn't eat tortillas. I couldn't eat anything. Also like tubs of like frosting. I just like, like cookies into frosting, because I wasn't eating.
Super nutritious.
Yeah, or like brownie batter. You just put water in that. You have brownie batter.
We got marshmallow fluff.
Yeah, just whatever you can to eat, because after 4 years of hiking in a row, it's so hard to find something that we want to eat.
Right. Yeah. You guys have a lot of miles under your belt, so to have something that you don't get sick of, that's tough. So you guys have a lot of great, we are going to get into food later, so I definitely want to dive in more for sure. That's like our favorite thing to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
So we will definitely get into it more. But let's move on to the second rapid fire question. So are you UL or do you not care? UL or don't care?
Try really hard.
I don't think anybody would call us UL, although we try. It's definitely nicer to have a light pack And so, but I sleep on a big, thick, double wide mat with Wildflower, because we tried like individual mats and they just separate, and she like feeds off my heat, and so it's just, yeah, that's the way it works. But you know, we do try and keep our base weight down.
Yeah.
So
yeah, when we got sponsored by a couple of companies, and not all of them were like ultralight gear, and so we did have a hard time, you know, with our base weights. But we definitely try. It's a lot easier on trails that are like warmer. For the CDT, we definitely had, you know, heavier things, because I was very cold on that trail. The whole trail, I felt like I was very, very cold. I had, well, on that trail, actually, it's embarrassing, but I had a 3-pound sleeping bag because I was so freezing at night, but I couldn't have, it was so worth it to me to have that sleeping bag, because I was just so cozy warm. So I'd say I don't care. If I'm happy with my gear, then it doesn't matter. I'll carry it.
I mean, I'm made more uncomfortable by having subpar light gear than carrying more weight. I'd rather be uncomfortable carrying weight than be uncomfortable freezing at night. So
yeah, when you talk to those hikers that are ultralight, and they're like, yeah, I had to wake up in the middle of the night because I was cold and do some push-ups so I could warm back up. I'm like, no thanks. It's okay to pack a few extra ounces of down feathers, you know, and stay warm. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of people who come on this show say the same thing you guys do. It's like, yes, we're light, but we are not ultralight because we like some of these luxuries, like, you know, sleeping through the night, being warm and not cold.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay. Next question. Highly debated topic. Boots or trail runners?
Trail runners.
Trail runners.
Trail runners.
Don't
Yeah.
wear boots.
I did go with like a mid top trail runner, or whatever. This on the AT, whereas on the CDT and the PCT and the PNT, we all just did trail runners. So yeah.
Why did you choose the mid? You said the mid top. Is that what you said? Trail runner?
Yeah,
it
was you know, it's just like, it's not all the way up your,
It's like an ankle boot.
yeah,
for the ankle. Yeah, for rolling.
It was for rolling, and then also like I'm a heavy guy, and so I put a lot of stress on boots and shoes, and I just felt like I wasn't getting the mileage out of the trail runners that I wanted to, and so I was hoping that these would last a little bit longer. They didn't, but I didn't really want to change either in the middle of the hike. So yeah, and there's still a big debate as far as like everybody has their own
brand for their shoes.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we've hiked in ultras, and we've hiked in topos and vasks and obos, and I actually my personal favorite is the Sawtooth by Obos, but then they changed the model and it doesn't really have good reviews. So yeah, and that's not a trail runner. It's more like a approach shoe kind of. So it's a little bit heavier, but I got good mileage out of it, like 1,000 miles, no problem.
Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know some people get that out of the trail runners. We definitely didn't. So
no, yeah, I think the most I got was 800 or 800, but they were thrashed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's most I got was 700, and mine were so bad. I was like, this is painful. Every step is painful.
We also went with the sole insoles instead of like a lot of people do the super feet, but the sole, they have like almost like a rock guard on the bottom all the way to the toes, where the super feet, they stop like at the ball of your foot, which is, if I'm going to hit like a sharp rock and when my shoes are flat, I'm going to hit it right there on the ball of my foot, then it hurts. So we went with that, and we get more mileage out of our shoes that way too. That was kind of nice.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. So you said Obos was the shoe of choice, or was the brand of choice?
There's the Sawtooth by Obos.
Sawtooth by Obos. What about everybody else? What's your brand of choice?
Ultra.
Okay.
Always in the Ultra Olympuses. I
Yep.
love them. Big fan.
Yeah.
I like.
I like topos. Topos, Vasks, ultras.
Yeah, I oboes, vasks, and oboes, vasks, and topos for what I wore, and I liked all three of them. So
Yeah.
Neither of them have very picky feet.
Right,
They don't
we
get
don't
blisters. or
We don't
anything.
get blisters. We're so lucky.
I've gotten one blister on all 4 trails.
Wow, that's amazing. So what's your secret? Just getting the proper shoes?
I have no idea.
There's no
I
real
do not
secret
take
for
care
him.
of my feet
Not
like they
taking
do.
care of his feet. That's his secret.
Yeah. Like he'll
Okay,
wear his
love it.
socks until there's holes in them and like not even trade them out. It's kind of like teenage boy typical, I guess. It's not good. But he does it and he gets by and whatever, it works.
I have the most comfortable feet, even though I take the least care of them in my family, and I'm okay.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, because that's a problem for a lot of people, especially at the beginning of trails. But it sounds like you never had that problem. Just one time. One.
Yeah, at least for him.
At least for him, yes. I can't say the same for myself, but what I'm hearing is we need to be more like teenage boys and not
Right.
take care of our feet. Okay, no, that's not good advice, but it's working for you, Turtles. That's great.
Never had any reason not to do so.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. That's right.
Love it. Okay, so next question is stove or cold soak?
Cold soak.
Cold soak.
Cold soak.
Really?
Yeah, we cold soaked for the last 2 years. It's nice to have a hot meal. I don't know that we would have made it as long as we did if we didn't use a stove for the whole PCT, because that was our first hike. We were all like, getting into it, and it was so nice to have just a hot meal at the end of the day. But once we were like, in it, we're like, okay, we got to do the CDT and we got to do the AT. It just became like, okay, we'll cold soak, because the weight of, and also for a family of 6, we always cooked together. So it always ended up my mom being the one in charge of cooking. And so we always felt bad because none of us wanted to do it. But we felt bad making her do it. So like, fine, Mom, we'll give you a break. We'll cold soak so you don't have to do it.
I was a huge proponent of, let's get rid of the stove, please. Especially one night in Washington when I was trying to cook, and it was pouring rain, and I spilled the big, huge pot of all of our dinner and kind of just cried as I gathered it up in, it was awful. Like, no more of this, no more of this.
But there's big advantages, because a lot of times when it's like super cold and you get into camp, that's when you would want like a hot meal, but you don't really want to sit out and cook a hot meal. And I'm not a fan of cooking in the tent. I know some people do, or in the vestibule. I'm like, I think they're crazy. But yeah, so we just felt like, on those nights, that's usually when we'd eat like a bar, like just a protein bar or something like that, and go to bed, rather than even do a cold soak, because you're just like trying to go to bed, get warm, get out of the wind or get out of the snow or whatever it was. And yeah, so we just, I mean, the other part too, we hiked the Pacific Northwest Trail, and that trail goes through a bunch of towns that the towns don't even know that the trail is going through there. And so if we had to have gotten fuel, it would have been really difficult, because there wasn't fuel. You would have to do like an adapter to put propane into a regular, whatever, the little tanks. And yeah, it just wouldn't have been fun. So look, it worked out real well to cold soak. It's easy. You're not wondering if your fuel's running out.
I will say I did feel bad for my cousin, because she's never experienced having a warm meal on trail. And we get into like other people's camps, like we get to like a shelter at night and it would smell like people cooking. And she was like, wow, our food never smells like that. And I was like, yeah, that's because we're cold soaking. I'm sorry. I did feel kind of bad, but I'll take her on a backpacking trip and I'll make her something with a jet boil. She'll be okay.
Oh, it'll be such a treat for her. It'll be like something she's never experienced before. Yeah, that's so interesting, because most people that I interview, at least this far, say they would never cold soak or whatever. I've done both, so I understand the beauty of both. You guys do too. You've done both, and kind of settled on cold soaking. But cold soaking is great because it's so efficient, and it's efficient for you guys as a family. So it totally makes sense for you guys. And I saw the beauty of it as well. I did it in the desert section of the PCT. And I actually really liked it. It was fine. You get used to it. And then people kind of make fun of you for cold soaking, but I didn't feel like I was really missing out on too much, except for hot chocolate. Like that's what I love. So, but you guys might convince me I still have to do the AT. Wildflower and I were talking about this. So I was getting some good info from her, but you guys might convince me to cold soak on the AT. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, the AT is a good trail to like try both, because you can we found so many just like stove things in hiker boxes. So if you decide you get sick of it, just keep your eye out for a hiker box and you'll find a stove and then you're like, oh, okay, I'll use this now. Because it's just so easy to be like, oh yeah, or you just have yours mailed out to you. Like you're in towns every 3 days. There's so much room for you to experiment on that trail.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so good to know. And it's funny. I've never seen a stove in a hiker box before. I did the piece. I was telling Wildflower, I did the PCT the same year as you guys did, and I just finished the CDT. And on in the hiker boxes, I've never seen a stove. So that's good to know that on the AT, people just throw their stoves in the hiker box.
Yeah, you find.
I wouldn't say all the time, but I definitely found like three.
Yeah, we found 3, which isn't all the time, but it's like still often enough that you're like, well, But yeah, I found a backpack in a hiker box that I started using. I used it for like 1,000 miles. So I love hiker boxes.
Yes, I love it.